Hello everyone and welcome to the FPL Armband. I'm Chris, Kieran is here too. How are you today, eve of the new season?
Excited, apprehensive, but yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, same. I feel like it seems like a long pre-season probably because of the amount of drafts I've been doing. I know I've been doing it, feels like a way longer time than you have, but yeah, now we're finally getting down to it. It's just like final few positions trying to decide on.
Which is not usually the case for you. I think you're usually like a few drafts
I
and done.
know, I know. I've
Yeah.
been really I don't know, going back and forth on a lot of either or's at the start of this season. So yeah, no, look, I'm really looking forward to it. I think can't wait for it to get started tomorrow night. And it's
Yep.
one of those feelings as well. Like I want players in a lot of the games this weekend as well. So I feel like that's impacted on my pick because I'm even that might not be best for my team. It just might be quite exciting. So yeah, right. Let's get on to it. We're going to start off by talking about Chelsea and Man City. Probably the biggest game of the weekend, I suppose. Two top teams, or supposedly top teams, clashing, and also there's quite a lot of ownership dilemmas there. And then we're obviously going to talk about some of the other top teams, and then do a bit of our team reveal. So Man City, Chelsea, they've only just recently played each other pre-season. We all know that was very open game. I was thinking 4-2
Trying to forget
finished.
about that one.
Yeah, I know. Haaland got his hat trick. I mean, you've gone straight away off this week at least. You're on no Haaland. How has that come about, and how, I don't know, fearful are you going to be every weekend? Do you think?
Look, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like I just feel like he's probably not worth the 15 million.
Okay, okay.
Just feels like too expensive. He goes like missing in so many games. He can easily be man marked in a game. It seems
Mm-hmm.
like we saw in the Community Shield, and we've seen it plenty of times during the Premier League. So I just we've not seen a 15 million asset before. I've just come around to the thinking of just like I prefer the spread of just other good assets
Yeah.
than just having Haaland. And that's just I've been constantly tinkering with Haaland and Salah drafts, or just Haaland and other ones, and I've just never really been happy. And until I found I actually finally looked at no Haaland, and I just started to look at the drafts, and I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I prefer this much more.
You're right. I mean, this takes us back to as soon as the game launched. I think immediately I was like, no, Haaland seems like the way to
Mm.
go, because you're right, because the spread of funds seems so much more possible. We've never had a player this expensive. We could get a really good deep squad of top heavy hitters from last season quite easily. And I think when the game launched, his ownership was just let's say in the first day it was 30%. It's crept up to nearly 50 now. I expect that to
Yep.
be probably slightly higher by this time tomorrow. But yeah, I totally get your points, to be honest. It's a big investment in one player, and if that one player isn't delivering, and let's say the cheaper players to support that, then yeah, I think you're gonna feel that, and that's why the pricing's been done well. I feel like he has got some good fixtures at least to start this season against teams who are potentially not going to be very good defensively. So we've seen Chelsea in pre-season been absolutely shocking. We've talked about that before in the last few weeks. I expect he's probably going to score this weekend. They've got Ipswich at home, which is a bit of an unknown because they looked fairly solid in pre-season.
They had the best defensive record in the Champions League as far as I
Yeah.
know. And they've only strengthened there, I think. So I don't think
No,
Ipswich
I
at
don't.
home is going to be a complete routing as far
No.
as I know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think so either. And then it's West Ham away. I mean, they're good fixtures on paper. Obviously, most fixtures for City are good. So it will be decisive this first weekend, I think, to see how Salah and Haaland do. Well, I was combining them there. Yeah, just to see how that leads into our teams for game week 2, whether we're gonna rip up our best laid plans after one game week, or gonna stick firm by it.
Yeah, admittedly, like the fixtures at the start are not the best to go without him. I get
Mm.
that, but I also think like Brentford in 4
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
tough game. Like Brentford have been pretty good against them recently, and I just hope that Chelsea can possibly keep it lowish. I think that's a possibility. I think
Mm.
it's be a 4-4. I can't see anything like that happening. So, like obviously last season.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just hoping for the best, and I'm just gotta not be
Mm.
so scared of the one person, I guess.
Yeah. And what
Yeah.
I was a bit gutted about Oscar Bob, and it
Oh
seems
yeah.
I don't think they've officially announced that yet, but the strong rumour is that he's like fractured his leg, so he's going to be out for a long time. But he was looking so hot in this pre-season, and he could have been like a cheeky pick at 5 million in midfield, even if only for the opening game weeks. Do you think they're going to? There's been obviously talk of Eze a little bit, which is interesting because he's got high ownership at the start of the season. Do you think they're probably going to buy a player to fit in the gap if they've lost they've lost Alvarez now as well as Bob in like the last week and a half?
I think most of FPL or and just football X or whatever Twitter seem to think he will. I think journos probably think that they will because there has been, supposedly they've been starting to talk to Eze about the 60 million release clause. I think it is. So, I think it would make sense with seeing they've lost 2 attacking players in depth and not brought anyone in. To me, that makes sense that they would, Savio. He's obviously new. Like, are they really going to want to chuck him in straight away? Probably not. So, and Grealish, I think, has still got a bit of an injury. So, Foden, I guess, not really played any preseason minutes. So there's, the depth has definitely took a hit, and KDB is obviously getting older as well. And so I feel like they probably will, but maybe get in there before this sort of trial thing happens towards Christmas time. I think it is, isn't it? So
and the thing about Haaland and City as well, which probably factors in to his expected minutes this season, because they haven't got any backup striker in the league. How much he's going to get preserved, let's say, because they're going to be on 3 competitions. Champions League starts, I think it's around game week 4, so there's going to be, I would expect, rotation to make sure Haaland stays fit. I mean, he had an injury last season, Pep took him off in pre-season, so I think there is a bit of a background like injury management, like risks, which will perhaps impact his X minutes. But I suppose for me, I'm just hoping that in the games he does play, he's big.
Yeah, a backup striker makes sense more than Eze, I would guess. Obviously Bob is not a striker, but obviously Alvarez, I guess, probably is, or around that sort of false 9, strikery, 10-y sort of player. So I think a backup striker would make more sense to me. So I think Eze owners maybe not shouldn't be that scared until anything actually concrete happens.
That's true.
Maybe his head is turned. Who knows?
It'll probably be about 6:30 tomorrow. Or late that Ornstein tweets that Eze's on City's books. Let's just quickly talk about Chelsea. Do you have Nkunku in your team?
I don't anymore. Probably for the reasons you're about to say. Yeah,
well, I think it's interesting that he's so highly owned. So he's up at 17% last time I checked. He's just not been anywhere near. Let's have a look what he's on now. He's not been anywhere near any of my drafts. He's still 17. My drafts. I get that Chelsea have got good fixtures. I kind of think he's been a bit hyped by this pre-season. So he's got 3 goals, 1 assist. 2 of the goals were penalties. Obviously, Neto's come in. It looks like João Felix might come in as well before the close of the transfer window. And you'll know how to pronounce the Osimhen's. So that's 3 players have come in again in the last. Well, potentially, let's say 3 players are going to come in now between now and the end of the window that are going to be in the attacking area, and they're not signing, I doubt, at least 2 of those to be backup. So, maybe he'll play number 10, maybe he'll play left wing. I just don't get his appeal. I get that he's a good player, but Chelsea seem unsettled and their lineup seems unsettled. I just don't get why he's such a pick. Do you get it? He's not on set pieces.
I think he's much better than Felix, in my opinion. So I think he would start ahead of him personally. But does it mean he might go to the left, because the left is the spot that's probably a little bit open with Sterling and Mudryk, and so there's no standout there really.
But do you think that makes him any better a pick than someone like Garnacho? Garnacho's 6'5", he plays on the wing. He had a decent season last season.
Well, he's probably twice the player Garnacho is, I would say.
Do you think? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's still a good option. I think he should play most of the minutes, but that's just guessing, I guess. And there's someone people are looking at Jota, and I obviously don't have Nkunku at the moment. Yeah, he might be the perfect player to go down to when the fixtures get really good from 2-3 onwards. And we see that he's playing, so I like him for the future. Perhaps not game week 1 against City.
We talked about that fixture block. It is good. Wolves, Palace, Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, and Forest in between 2 and 7. It'll be a real test of like Maresca. I kind of feel, in my mind, Maresca's getting sacked before that game against Forest in October. I just think it all just looks a shambles at the moment, but we'll see. Right, should we talk about another fixture?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So Arsenal versus Wolves, obviously the other probably main contender for the league, I suppose, in Arsenal. Yeah, their preseason form's been obviously really good. They've had 10 goals scored, 4 conceded, 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. Yeah, their head-to-head history in the Premier League against Wolves. So the last 6, Arsenal won all of them in a row. Aggregate score of 14-2. So that's been some beating they've been putting on Wolves. Yeah, so Arsenal first team pretty much in the last preseason games have been very convincing to me anyway from the highlights I've watched. They looked great against Leverkusen, won 4-1 there. I think the 1 goal was sort of a late consolation. And then, yeah, against Lyon, a 2-0 win, looked completely dominant. The defense looked solid as hell as ever. So, yeah, I'm in the sort of camp of being like, I know I wasn't last episode, but you sort of swayed me towards this of just being like, Arsenal, I think, are just going to go strength to strength again. They're just going to get better again. Yeah, I think the defense is going to be even more solid. Nothing's changed there, is it? So,
and they've got California now as well.
Yeah, apart from better backup again. So, yeah, I'm looking at a defender, whether it's Saliba or Gabriel. I think Gabriel should still be nailed. I mean, I think. We can't really know that, I suppose.
Are you going to go with Gabriel over Saliba, or are you having neither?
Yeah, I think it's really difficult. I do have one of them in my team. I have Saliba at the moment, but it could easily be Gabriel. Gabriel, like, if I go down to him as a pick, he's 12% compared to Saliba's 39% ownership at the moment. So that's a big difference. Gabriel got 3 goals, 1 assist versus Saliba's 2 goals, 1 assist. So that's not much in that, but yeah, 4.48 xG for Gabriel across the season, which was top of all defenders, like 3 times basically the xG of Saliba's, which was 1.7. So 4.4 to 1.7. So you can clearly see that the goal threat is in Gabriel's favor by a long way. So he had 25 headed chances last season, which is second of all defenders, and then 7 big chances for himself, second of all defenders. So randomly enough, the ones that are beating him on those headed chances and big chances are Romero at Spurs, and nobody's really talking about him. So interesting. He clearly has goal threat from those set pieces. So yeah, Gabriel Saliba. Saliba's obviously nailed on. People are talking about Timber possibly being like a bit of a backup to Saliba, so there could be rotation there because Saliba played like every single minute of pretty much every game for Arsenal, didn't he? The important ones anyway. And then Calaflori is like a left backup / backup to Gabriel. So who's more likely to be rotated? I don't know. I don't think he will rotate either of them, to be honest. So I guess, yeah.
I think Saliba's minutes the last 2 seasons of, well, maybe it wasn't the season before last. Last season, he basically didn't miss a minute. 3,420. He was just reliable, and I kind of think, based on how good he was for France in the Euros as well, he is just like a top tier defender. So
100%, yeah.
I feel like he's definitely more nailed than Gabriel is, but at the same time, I'm just having a look at last season's like numbers across the season. So you're right, Gabriel's XG across the season was 4.48, and Saliba's was 1.7. So huge disparity there, but it's not easy to score a headed chance, which is probably why he's only got like 1 more attack in return. I feel like I got burnt at the start of last season when I missed out on
we
points.
both did,
yeah. So that's probably my main reason for picking Saliba, even though Gabriel, I agree, has got the bigger goal threat.
Does that mean it'll happen again? Possibly not.
I don't know. I just feel like with more you're right. I feel like more competition now. Timber's back and Calafori's there. He's already shown that he would drop Gabriel and not Saliba. Will he do it again? So it just feels like
maybe Saliba is just safer. Yeah, I'm probably taking enough risks as it is. So Saliba's probably a decent choice. So so Wolves preseason form, they had 2 losses, 2 wins, 7 goals scored, 5 conceded. They've just sold arguably their best player to Chelsea as well in Neto. They finished their last warm-up game with a loss and didn't score in it either, so that's not great form. And then just on Arsenal as well, the
Yeah.
Totally Football Show podcast I listened to,
Really?
3 of the 4 journalists predicted Arsenal to win the league, so
Really?
that's interesting as well.
Mm.
Ahead of City. So yeah, Arsenal looking good.
Mm.
But yeah, Saka, you know, he played 45 minutes, I think, and then some minutes in another one of the preseason games. So I think he's good to go. 16 goals, 12 assists last year. Played through sort of like a constant injury, so hopefully he's okay now, or seems to be at least. Played pretty much all the minutes in for England, didn't he, as well? So fixtures obviously certainly aren't the best, but I think from attacking wise, don't see any issues in picking Saka, to be honest. I think their attack is going to be good. Probably, you know, the lowest ownership percent you'll find him most basically all season, I would guess, like 29 under 30%. That's pretty good. I think like he's possibly captainable in this fixture as well. So yeah. And then just Rice, obviously in the last he's had obviously a huge bump up. I think it's 5.5 million last year, possibly. But yeah, 6.5 million now, 6%. And the 2 goals in the last preseason game were from his corners straight to the heads of Saliba and Gabriel. So yeah, it's almost certainly too expensive to pick him as a 6.5 million sort of CM.
Yeah, I agree.
Or possibly 8, I guess. But you know, he provided a lot of points last season, so maybe he can do it again. Yeah, and then this guy was in my draft for a long time as well. I was really pumped on. I think Havertz is going to have a great season. 8 million, 14% owned at the moment. Would have been the 3rd highest scoring forward if classified as a forward last season, which is interesting as well. Ahead of Solanke and Isak, who both had great seasons. So yeah, in my opinion, he's fully nailed on. Started striker in the final warm-up game as well, with Jesus being benched, and then Jesus came on again, but he wasn't hooked for Jesus. He stayed on, and then he did eventually go off just for obviously rest. But he's not being hooked for Jesus. He's staying on the pitch, which is obviously very important. Yeah, 13 goals, 10 assists last year. I think clearly just needed to be in a consistent team, starting week in, week out, and he's showing his worth. Yeah, and then just finally from the Wolves side, I don't think there's anyone really worth picking at the moment. The fixtures are pretty bad. Yeah, but there's 5.5 million. Ricardo Gomez has looked bright in preseason, and I think he's going to be the one that sort of replaces Neto. And then, but game week 9 onwards, I think we're all going to start to look at them. They've got Brighton, Crystal Palace, Southampton, Fulham, Bournemouth, Everton, West Ham, Leicester in a row. So that's amazing run from then, which we'll start to look
Cunha
at
territory.
Cunha, I don't think he's fully fit at the moment, which is a shame, but yeah, like Nori at 4.5 again is going to be good value. And then any of their forwards, that Strand Larson, I think he's going to be their number 9, because I think Cunha's supposed to be playing the 10 this year. So Strand Larson's come from La Liga. I think he has something like 15 goals, something like that. So yeah, he's only 5.5 million, and he looks to be the starting striker for Wolves. So that's going to be value as well.
Yeah, nice. What I will say on Arsenal, just actually before we move on, it is, I think there's like a valid strategy if you're thinking about playing the early wild card to not have Arsenal players until game week 6.
Sure.
Because they got Aston Villa, City, and Spurs away in the first 5 game weeks. Are all difficult games. Are they going to get enough hauls in Wolves and Brighton for the defenders and attackers to justify that over 5 games? And I'm not sure.
I don't think Villa is a thing you should worry about, and I don't think Spurs away is a thing to worry about for attack.
Yeah, true.
I don't think it's anything to worry about for a defense either. Like, I could see them going to Villa away and keeping it this year. I just think Villa are not going to be as good this year. So
yeah, so do I, unfortunately. Yeah, maybe true. And last year, at the end of last season, Arsenal did go to Spurs and play really well, and Saka and Havertz sort of returned from big scores. So yeah, that could feasibly happen again.
I just think with City clearly losing some good players, I just think they're probably the best team in the league, and just they are the hard fixture. They should be fixture proof to me.
I think that if it was the only reason I still think City are stronger, I just feel like that Martinelli / Trossard position needs to be like slightly stronger. I feel like Havertz found that it's like he and Saka are probably like the main goal threats. Trossard will chip in with a few. I don't know. It just feels like they're one quality forward away from dominating games. I think one of the stats I read earlier was they didn't score in 5 league games last season, which for a team that finished second last season, that's quite a lot really. So, but no, if Havertz, Saka, and the others can chip in, I don't know. I still can't see past City, but let's hope they can, because it will make it interesting.
Yeah, I would love to see City not win the league, and Arsenal seem to be the next closest. So fair enough.
Yeah. Right, let's kick off. Well, turn to the game that kicks off actually the season. Man United against Fulham. Both managers the same. Fulham won this fixture last season 2-1. I do think it's an interesting start to the season. There's like a lot of positivity around United. I think probably the new owners have helped instill that, and I'm not sure. I feel like I've been turned on Bruno Fernandes because I wanted to get United have got some good fixtures to start the season. Fulham, Brighton, Liverpool at home was a good game last season. He did well in Southampton away, Palace away. That's not like a bad front five for them, and Fernandes at the same price he was last season is okay as well. I'm just not sure about like what's changed from them being overrun in midfield last year to make this quite an open game still. Like, they haven't signed a defensive midfielder. They're still going to have Casemiro, Mount, or Mainu and Fernandes to pick from if although Fernandes might play that false 9 role with Haaland out, which makes him a slightly more interesting pick as well. I just feel like Fulham are going to go their opening night of the Premier League. They've got nothing to lose. I just see an open game tomorrow. Good chance for Fulham's attackers who have got great fixtures after this as well. How do you see the game going?
Really hard to call. I think Fulham should be confident because they just signed in Emil Smith-Rowe and he scored 2 of the preseason already. And I've currently got in my team, I've got Emil Smith-Rowe benched because I've got good other fixtures. Like, it sort of makes sense, but at the same time, I think United's defense has definitely had an upgrade with De Ligt and Mazraoui, so I think they should probably both come in. I might be a bit harsh for Maguire to be benched for De Ligt, but I can see Delot, De Ligt, Martinez, and Mazraoui as the starting back four. Okay. So that on paper is really good. Can Fulham go there and score against United at home in the first game of the season? It's tough. I think that'll be just probably just an open game. Got probably like 1 goal each, maybe like a 1-1. I could see something like that. Yeah,
it's definitely. I just wanted to mention it tonight because I think Bruno seems. It's funny. I thought he would seem more template than he is. He's only 17% ownership. Garnacho is 16%. I don't know, I just feel like there's quite a lot of decisions quite a lot of moves that will come off the back of this because of Fulham's good run after this, and because it's going to be a new look United from a defensive point of view, we think, and what like investment we can have there. Did De Ligt come in at 5?
5, yeah. Mazraoui 4.5. So I think Mazraoui should come in straight away because Shaw is injured, and both of them have good preseason minutes for Bayern. So I don't see any reason why he won't start on the left back or Delot possibly playing left back and him playing right back because he is a right back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think it's going to be a really good first game to kick us off, and I'm like you. I'm like on looking at my team just slightly. I'm going to have Smith-Rowe as well, and I'm happy to play him tomorrow, even though the fixture looks bad on the ticker. You want to have like a good home fixture in the first game week. I think it's going to be an open game, and the fact that Fulham were confident enough to go there last season and win, and United's midfield has been open, let's say, end of last season, nothing too much has changed there. I feel like he might have a little bit of space to do something.
Yeah, I have the option to play him, so I may end up doing that. Yeah.
All right, should we talk about another couple of fixtures before sharing where we are?
Yeah, okay. So Ipswich, Liverpool. Liverpool obviously probably expecting to be the third team to chase for the title. Good preseason form again. 4 wins, 1 draw, 10 goals scored, 2 conceded. Defensive form looks like it's been pretty good. As well as Trent coming back, Van Dijk coming back, and all getting good solid minutes in the preseason. So, but then Quansah. 4.5 million. He started to pick up some ownership. I think he's 1.9% when I made the notes. I'm sure that's probably gone up by quite a bit. Yeah. Okay, so all aboard the sort of Quansah train, I guess. He started 4 of the last preseason minutes. He started in the one where it looked like it was all the first choices. The one was with Salah and Trent, all that stuff. He looks like he's the first choice to me, alongside Van Dijk. Sort of ended the season playing all the games as well, didn't he? So 2 goals scored last season from 13 starts. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Van Dijk, Saliba managed the same in 36 to 38 starts last season. So yeah, he's pretty much halved it there, which is great. The problem is, I think with him, he's good as a sort of cover of the defense for Trent, but he's not, obviously he's going to cover the clean sheets, but he's not going to cover any really much attacking returns, you'd imagine. But at the same time, he takes up a third Liverpool spot too. And obviously that run of fixtures is really damn good at the start of the season. So obviously Ipswich, Brentford, United, I don't think United away is anything you can worry about for the attack anyway. Forest, Bournemouth, Wolves, Crystal Palace, all at the start of the season. Good. So yeah, those are all great fixtures. So yeah, if you're looking towards a triple up, if they start to look really, really good, yeah, Kwanzaa could be an issue, but maybe not a definite issue. But yeah, he's certainly not fully nailed on from rotation. Like Kanate is still there, like breathing down his neck. But at the moment, he looks like he's suiting like Slot's system of wanting to pass out the back, and Kwanzaa seems better at that than Kanate. So yeah,
I think it's interesting that he. I don't know. I feel like it's interesting that he's picked up a lot of momentum when Liverpool, a bit like Man United, haven't like strengthened their defense. Well, haven't signed anyone this summer. Yeah. Liverpool only kept 9 clean sheets last season. That was the same amount as Man United. But like he seems like super sexy for some reason. But like there's like, let's say Martinez at United is pretty much nailed on centre back, and he's also 4-5. And United's fixtures are probably not quite as good, but like he's more nailed and in a team that did as well defensively. Do you know what I mean? I just think it's fun. I want him as well, but maybe I'm a bit swept up in it.
I think a lot of people are thinking Slot's going to be better defensively, and then just a 4.5 million cover in that Liverpool defense, where other people are looking at Trent. It's just people are trying to, people aren't looking at United because nobody's really going there.
Yeah.
So like people are trying to cover it for cheap.
Yeah, I think so. No, I agree with you.
Okay, so Trent, 7 million this year, obviously got a big price drop, 24%. He's obviously fit now, had played pretty much a full game in the last preseason, so he's got minutes, and then provided a great assist for Jota's goal. Looks like he's going to be in that sort of wide central area on that right, and he's going to be providing quite a lot this season. So yeah, for me, look sharp. He was getting forward. And it's pretty hard to ignore him at 7 million. I think a few years ago when he was around 7, he was pretty much essential. So, yeah, for me, I've wanted him in my team. Some of the drafts have just been impossible with owning like Salah and Haaland and stuff like that. But yeah, having got rid of Haaland, he's in for me. Yeah, the fixtures look so good. So I'm just there for the Trent train and hoping he does well, and he's obviously a cash cow. He's obviously a cash cow for basically any defender. So yeah, happy to move off him if he's not looking good. And then I guess I don't know if he's in your team. Probably not, because I think you're a bit scared of his rotation. But Jota, 7.5 million, 6.2% when I did this, but it's probably gone way up by that.
12 now. He's like doubled his ownership.
Okay, yeah. So I've got, is he a trap here? I mean, yes, probably, but he's a good trap, we think. Yeah, he's obviously fit in preseason, goal and assist in the last matchup versus a good Sevilla side. Yeah, good hold-up play. He only had 1 shot in that game, which is a bit concerning,
and it was an absolute screamer as well.
Of course, so yes. Yeah, a great goal. But yeah, he seems to he's played more minutes under Slot in preseason, and he seems to have sort of looks like he's going to be the starter towards the start of the season ahead of Nunez, just because he's played more fit, and he's just been seen more, I guess. And whenever he seems to play, he gets points. Like always provides value when he's got 10 goals, 7 assists in just 1,141 minutes last year, which is like under half the minutes of the whole season. So an average return of 67 minutes. A return every 67 minutes, which is really good as well. So competition from Nunez, obviously, maybe Gakpo, but I think Gakpo is more of a competition for Diaz on the right, or the left, sorry. So yeah, I've just got down here, Jota versus Salah's stats per start. So this is just to show that Jota provides good value when he starts, right? So points, 6.2 versus 7. So Salah just shading, but not by much. Goals 0.57 versus 0.6 per start. Yeah, not much in that either. XG of 0.7 for Jota versus 0.2. Oh, actually, I think that was the other way around. 0.2 for Jota, 0.7 for Salah. I think that's probably due with penalties as well. XA of 0.07 versus 0.26, so a little bit in Salah's favour. But then expected points of 3.9 versus 7, which is big in Salah's. But yeah, points wise, yeah, the actual points scored of 6.2 versus 7. There's basically not much in it, and it's like, how much is it? Like 4-ish million, maybe more than that, between them. So
yeah, so must be 5 million.
Is it okay? 5 million. Yeah, so he seems like he's going to start at least the first few. He's a good price point that you can sort of just move down to whoever's doing well.
Yeah.
So I think he's worth picking at the start of the season for me anyway. Do you want to mention what you think about him?
Yeah, I like Jota. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's done well for me before, and he's definitely someone. If we have anything tomorrow about Eze, which I think might be unlikely, but if we get anything about Eze, I'm probably going to find 0.5 million to do Eze to Jota. And I've also thought about maybe Bruno down to Jota. I don't know. It seems like I've tried to pick players that potentially aren't unknowns. And because as a new manager, there is a little bit of an unknown, but from what we've seen he's just in 2 pre-season games, essentially, it looks like he's going to be the first choice number 9. But all it took was like Liverpool account earlier to post a picture of Nunes with a little heart, and I was just like, oh, see, he's just got competition there, and maybe he will start, and a bit like Kwanzaa, be template or be first choice in that team. So yeah, it's hard to. We've got some exciting options in Solanke and Jota. Perhaps not as exciting for Solanke because he's a striker, but cheap players who look like they're going to be playing centre forwards in good sides.
I think he's just I think if he plays well, he should start the first few. But he's obviously going to come off around 60-70 minutes. But we just got to hope he's hauling in that time. And I think he obviously does have that ceiling of, like,
he can get a 12,
a couple goals or a goal and assist like he did in that last game against Sevilla in the preseason. So for 7.5 million, that seems like good value. And I think he's, like I said, he's easy to jump off of.
Yeah, Chelsea and Liverpool have got such good fixtures for the first 8. That's the biggest concern I think of my team. Like, I don't think with Haaland, I don't think I can have Salah, and I'm not sure he's going to justify that. But when you look at pretty much their opening 8 fixtures, if it goes well against Ipswich in the first game and even Brentford in the second game, I feel like there's going to be such a shift, because it's going to turn into a bit of a known quantity, really. Yeah,
from what I saw in Salah in the last one, it just didn't kind of fall for him in front of goal. He nearly had a couple goals, nearly had a couple assists. Like, another day, he's hauling versus that Sevilla game. So I think just like with Haaland in his debut season in the Community Shield, we saw him, and then he had the chances. He did miss them, but you know that he's looking sharp and he's getting the chances and he's going to start putting them in. So I think that was where Salah was looking. So yeah,
absolutely. Well, should we go on to talk about our teams, and then
yes, we should,
because I think talk about Leicester Spurs a little bit while I talk about our teams. Right, let's put yours up first, considering we've just been talking on the back of that, and you are very heavy on all the Liverpool big boys, aren't you?
So my Haaland draft. So the goalkeepers, I think I'll probably end up with this Fleck and Brentford combo. I quite like the West Ham ones as well, just because I think they're going to get a ton of save points. So there's that, but there's probably not many clean sheets. But I like the look of Henderson, obviously, but I don't like that there's not really a 4-0 to go with him. So I've got Munoz instead, and I think he's going to be a great pick. So triple Liverpool with Trent, Jota and Salah at the moment. So I've got Saliba and Saka in there, and then I've got Barker at the moment. There's noise of him, possibly not being sort of nailed on for the first 5 or 6. He's possibly going to play the first couple, so I think he may be removed. Hall, I'm looking at as someone who basically should be nailed on. I like him a lot as well. all the Newcastle fans and all was just saying that it's his shirt to lose in that left back role. And yeah, he's looking like he should be picked for England pretty soon as a sure replacement as well. Like the sky is sort of the limit for him. He's had a goal and assist in pre-season. The fixtures to start with look good. This first fixture looks amazing for him. Bournemouth away after that, like Spurs at home, don't think too bad. Wolves after that, Fulham after that, like they're great. Then I've got Gordon in there. Gordon, I'm a little bit worried about for minutes, but I think he absolutely should start. I think
start, yeah.
Yeah. So and he scored in this preseason game and in his limited minutes, and I think he's gonna probably have a really good season again. To be honest,
did you even own him last season?
I didn't know. I didn't own him even once. Yeah. So yeah, getting on there early this season, I guess. Then the front two of Solanke and Isak. Isak, nailed on in all my drafts and in most people's drafts. I don't think he's going anywhere. Solanke, I just wanted to have something in that Monday night game. I think he should be good to go to start. He's got a better penalty record than Son. I don't know if he's going to take them off them, but there's that. And I think he's just going to get way more chances in this team. And he scored 19 goals for Bournemouth. So why would that not go up? Then first bench is Smith Rowe. I may end up just doing Smith Rowe in bench Barco, probably take Barco out for Johnson at Ipswich. Attacking right back, is it, or left back?
Right back, I think.
Yeah, and so maybe play Smith Rowe or play Munoz. And then the last one on the bench is just the fodder. Which I've got 1.5 in the bank as well.
Really?
Which is
from this?
I do, yes.
Okay.
Which is for Solanke to Watkins in Game Week 3, which I think most people, if they're not selling Haaland, won't be able to get to. So I think that is, and that's exactly when Spurs fixtures get a bit crappy for the next two as well. So they got Newcastle away and Arsenal at home, which I don't love for them. So I'll be looking at Watkins for that really good run for Villa.
Nice. Yeah, I think it looks good. How confident are you with like 24 hours to go that you're not going to panic and get Haaland back in? Or do you think you're pretty set on this now? Because I feel like you've been on this idea for
honestly
a day or so.
I think I am quite set. It's just whether I don't go with Jota and I go for someone like an Eze. And if I go for Gabriel instead of Saliba. And then that's honestly pretty much it. I like Smith Rowe, especially for his fixtures in 2 and 3 and 4, which is Leicester, Ipswich, West Ham. So 2 promoted teams in a row. That seems great. I mean, Gordon, I'm a bit worried about, but like at the same time, I think he absolutely should play. And it'll be good to go for Game Week 2 at least as well. So I'm pretty happy, honestly.
Yeah, I think it looks good, to be honest. I didn't even looking at it. I thought you would have maxed out. It said, here, you got 1.5 in the bank.
I was surprised too that I could. Basically, the people who are doing this are getting Gvardiol instead of like Munoz. That's what they're spending their money. And I've just kept that in the bank just so I don't need to do those transfers. Munoz, I think, is a great option. So
he looked so good. I watched the highlights of that game to see how Eze was playing. To be fair, Eze had loads of chances in that last pre-season game. But Munoz just like closing down the keeper in the box and just hanging out on the edge of the box all the time.
I would love to play him as well, but it's tough. I don't know.
I'd probably play him over Barco, to be honest.
Well, exactly, but I'm saying I might play Smith Rowe instead. No,
I think it looks good. You love a 4-4-2 as well, I feel like, to start the season.
That's only happened due to benching Smith Rowe. Like I would usually play the 3-5-2.
No, it looks good. Well, mine's. Have we got any more to add on that before?
No, move on to yours. Yeah, go.
So I think we're vaguely similar apart from the big Haaland difference. So Flecken the same. I just don't think there's a. My second choice would be Henderson, and like I said to you earlier, I feel like if I had Henderson and Matthews, that kind of rules me out of getting Munoz because I'm already at 3 Palace players, and I like to have the backup as well.
Yeah, I did think about that. Yeah.
So then in defence, Saliba, even though Arsenal's fixtures aren't great, I just feel like there's like a hopefully bank of clean sheets in 1 and 3. Porro, who you haven't got, I just think it seems like a steal. Like at this season, 5.5 million. You compare him to some of the like wishy-washy 5.5 million mids. He's done well in pre-season. Spurs aren't great defensively, but they weren't last season, and he still did really well. I feel like he's a bit underpriced at 5.5. So yeah, well, I'll have him at least for these first 2 game weeks. And actually, like that Leicester game, Leicester haven't scored in their last 3 pre-season games. and then they've got Everton at home in game week 2, so it's going to give me a good read to see how good they are.
Yep. I mean, I could get him. I've got that money to do it, but yeah.
And for the longest time, as you know, I had the reverse midfield, so I had Son and someone like João Pedro at 5.5 million, but I've recently sort of flipped to Fernandes and Solanke, which I think Pedro's first couple of fixtures aren't great, and I'd say Leicester away and Everton at home for Solanke look good, and we've already talked about Bruno. I think he's got quite good fixtures. Obviously Haaland, Isak up front. I'm playing Smith Rowe. I've got Eze away at Brentford, which I quite like, and the bench is probably like a little stronger than I would usually have. So I've got no money in the bank. I've got Kwanzaa first bench to come in, and I've got Robinson as well, who I quite like for. So my defensive rotations look good. I don't have any money to get to Watkins in game week 3 or any like forward plans at the moment like that, but I think I'm quite happy to see how this lot do for the first 2 game weeks, and then obviously can pivot after that. The ones I'm not 100% convinced on is probably Bruno, just because of last season being a bit of a burn at the start, but I think he's at a good price point where there's a lot of money in him rather than spreading, so I think it's, there's options from there. So
just getting Kunku.
Oh god, no.
I'm surprised. Like, I hadn't seen yours, and I wasn't expecting Hall in there. I was not expecting Bruno, and I wasn't expecting Kwanzaa, even though we've talked about him, and you're benching him, which is interesting as well. So
I'm not sure if I'd. Yeah, it's difficult. I'm back in Hall, Saliba, obviously home games. I think Porro's defensive output's better, and I'd rather play Smith Rowe than a defender because it's fun.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, obviously he'll come in and play. I think he's going to play like the first 3 of the next 5 games if he stays in the team. So no, I think it's probably got a decent balance to it. I've tried to pick penalty takers.
I suppose you wouldn't want Gordon instead of Bruno because you don't like double ups and stuff, do you?
Not at the start immediately, especially now Gordon's a bit more expensive. But no, I've changed it quite a lot. And even last night, I was telling you, wasn't I, that I expect to see this draft on the show, and I had Munoz in it, and I've obviously got him since then. Yeah, but yeah, I feel pretty settled on this now. Yeah, so
Jota, like Bruno instead of Jota, maybe. Yeah, I could do something like that. That's interesting.
Yeah, we'll see how I feel by tomorrow night. But it looks. Locked in.
Yeah, I'd also be a bit annoyed if, everyone just like, there's so many people not bothering with Salah and just having Jota, and I'd be really annoyed if I missed out on that, because I've had him for a while. I'd be pissed if I've gone for the more expensive guy and he's blanked while Jota's gone away with 12 points or something. That'd be really annoying.
I think that is the main worry with having 2 of the attackers, because you don't want to have like the cheaper one outperform the better one, but I think the fixtures are good enough for Liverpool. That's, like I said earlier, I think that's the main pain point potentially from here, is that Liverpool have a really good start to the season. Jota's good, but I think I've tried to pick players who look like they're going to play a lot of minutes to start the season. The only maybe is Kwanzaa.
No, I think he's fine.
So I think it looks. I think it's okay.
Yeah, I think I only really need to look at that Jota pick, really. Jota for Bruno maybe makes sense, because I do have Salah and Trent.
Can you get? Oh, you got the money, haven't you? Yeah,
I do have that money, so yeah.
It might make sense to tie money up in the players, because then if they obviously go up in value, that's what I'm kind of hoping by having, rather than leaving that 0.5 like I had planned to do. If Kwanzaa goes up in price after a good first game week, even if I'm not playing him, then I'm already thinking that after that Robinson's got some good potential. So thinking more about the squad value, and we can think about that this season because we've got more money to spend by not having 2 big hitters, I suppose.
Are you worried by Bruno and Smith Rowe starting in that first game of the season on a Friday night? It just, if you've got 2 blanks and you're 2 players behind everyone else, that would suck.
That would suck. But it was an open game last season, and there was goals scored in there. So let's see. And to be honest, players blank all the time. Haaland could blank. That would suck.
Yes, that
would be the one that sucked. Oh, we haven't talked about captain.
I was going to say, yeah. I'm tempted by Salah, obviously. I mean, I like Isak as captain, but should I just captain Salah? I don't know. Maybe. I think the obvious one is Isak, and Saka is worth a punt, maybe.
I think Saka is good, but he probably he hasn't had much time to come back from pre-season. Yeah, I don't know. What's in your lineup that you got? Oh yeah, Isak. Yeah, feels strange to captain him, but I think it's probably just the fixture. And
Yeah, the
form.
vice is not set for me yet. But yeah, at the moment it's Isak. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, what time's the deadline? Is it 6 o'clock tomorrow? It's 6:30, so it's basically 24 hours from now. I'm going to try not to. I'm going to ignore my team for tonight and then see how it feels tomorrow after the press conferences.
Yep, makes sense.
Cool. All right, that was good fun.
Right. Yep. Good luck, everyone. Hopefully we'll get big points, but hopefully just me actually.
All right, we'll be back next week to recap and see what all went wrong or right. Fun. All right.
Yes. All right.
Until next time. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.